Stephen Seifert.
I'm Aaron David O'Rourke.
That's right. I'm Stephen Christopher Seifert. So we're talking about the bass today. David Beede made a bass years ago. That was a while ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's just a bass stick.
And then I guess he didn't make them for a while.
Yeah.
And then he got together with Terry McCafferty recently, and what do you call this second version?
So I think they're calling it, as is on the instrument.
It's definitely on there.
Yeah. Was it? Lil double bass?
Lil double bass. So it used to be called the what?
It was just I think you just called it a Beede bass stick.
The first iteration. This is second. What's the difference between this one and the previous one? What do you notice?
I mean, there are quite a few differences. I mean, this one just feels a little heftier than the last one.
Yeah, I notice it feels like it sits in my lap a little better. The other one there was not as much to it, and it kind of rumbled around in my lap.
Yeah, the pickup is different inside here. And it looks like they're using screws now. In the older version, this was just held on by magnets. You could open it up and see the pickups in there. And they were just... David, I think he would mess around with the position of the pickups and then find something that seemed to work where there was a nice balance between the strings and then glue them down. Now they're using, I think, and this is where I get, like, I might be screwing some stuff up.
Me too.
Yeah.
Is it an Allen wrench?
But I think that there's a pickup underneath each one of these.
Okay, yeah.
That goes to I think it's a MySci pickup.
It's a pickup.
Preamp.
Yeah,
MySci preamp, which is I've seen those in a handful of ukuleles.
Okay.
And it's those deals where you plug this in to an outlet on the wall, charge it for 60 seconds, and then you've got an active pickup for some crazy number of hours. So you don't need a battery.
Right. Like and 60 seconds. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, why do they have it where you kind of... It's a rechargeable thing. I thought, why don't they just put a battery in there? But it takes at least 60 seconds to change a battery. So I thought, I haven't needed to charge mine since, the first attempt there.
Yeah. Another difference I noticed, it might not be too obvious on camera. You kind of need to see the fretboard in the right light. But David, before, he was making them either fretless or with these grooved frets. So instead of actually having a metal fret there, and it looks like there's a metal fret there, that's a little bit deceiving. There's not any fret there. It's just like a marker.
Inlay.
On this one. But the ones that he built before, I think that the grooves were a little bit narrower, and so they were less forgiving. You had to have your finger in just the right place, or you'd get this little kind of rumbly sound. Yeah. The grooves are a bit wider. They're a bit more forgiving, but they still give you a bit more accuracy than playing fretless would if you're not paying close attention to your left hand.
Yeah, and I'm interested in getting one without any frets or any indentations, but it's true. I've been playing this, and it does accurize your pitches. And just to be clear, a fret is something that comes above the fingerboard, but these little channels go below the main surface of the fingerboard, but you get a similar effect. It's the edge of the channel gives you your pitch.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that the strings. Well, first of all, let's just say, because this doesn't have actual traditional frets in it, you can use these channels for the main notes that a main dulcimer player is used to. But you can play in between these. Can you let them hear that?
So, dulcimer frets. Now you heard that rumble, that little rattle, where my finger just wasn't in the groove very well. But Also have these in between notes instead of we can go
right. It's kind of chromatic.
Yeah.
Without it really hitting you in the head that it is chromatic.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a slide sound
give,
on there too. Yeah, that's cool. Right. And we just got these.
Yeah.
Like, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm immediately impressed with it.
Yeah.
I think the application for this. Let me do a little Bile and Cabbage. Can you just? I mean, this is the point that's interesting. This is basically has the pitches of an upright bass, not entirely, but it's an upright bass ends with a low E,
right?
And this is the D below that,
right?
It's also the same with an electric bass guitar. This is the D below its lowest E,
right?
Can you just pretend you're a bass player on Bile and Cabbage for a second? 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that in a lot of jams, if we have a good bass player show up at a jam, it usually makes for a good jam.
Yeah.
Someone with good timing who kind of knows the tunes, it really keeps everyone moving and together.
Mm-hmm. I also think, this is just an opinion thing.
Yeah.
Well, how many basses do you usually see at a jam?
We usually see one playing at a time. Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, though, we'll get 2 at a time.
Right.
It can be a little much to have 2 at a time. Or absolutely not a good idea is probably the way to say it.
Yeah. But usually when there are 2 bass players that show up, it's usually a good opportunity to split off into a smaller jam.
That's
usually.
true.
Yeah. I think.
So often we're in one big jam.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But also, it's not uncommon for bass players to play other instruments.
Right.
So they'll, like, one person will bring an upright and they'll take turns playing that one upright, and the others either take a break or go play another instrument.
Yeah.
But this allows us to use what we know of Dulcimer fingerboards and get a very similar thing going. Mm-hmm. And I could see clubs. I could see each club might have a person who goes, I think I could do that, you know. Mm-hmm. And what about playing multiple notes at a time? Like, most people, of course, on a regular dulcimer, we just strum D-A-D. Mm-hmm. There's what's called bass dulcimers out there. Like I know Gary Galyer's made, Blue Lion, there's a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. That's an octave below a normal dulcimer. Mm-hmm. But this is an octave below that.
Right.
So I think if you just strum it like and you're going to play old Joe Clark, strum style, it's not going to work, right?
Well, I mean, you run into...
That kind of sounds cool. Try that with a pick, would you, real quick?
We were demonstrating why this doesn't work.
I know. It gets muddy.
Yeah.
I liked it when you were up high, though, but I would call that more of a sound effect. I don't think people are not going to be strumming the fire out of these at all. I don't think I'm going to strum it at all. Mm-hmm. Hit all of them one time, just open. Even that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I think this is mostly a single note instrument. Mm-hmm. I was listening to Queen doing one of their tunes, the rock band, Keep Yourself Alive, or whatever that's called. Mm-hmm. There's one place where I heard the bass player hit 2 notes at once. It was like an open fifth, but you don't hear bass players doing that.
Yeah.
Many times. So, if you had to give somebody advice on how to start with this thing, what's your 1 minute advice?
I would say learn the notes on the open bass string or the open treble string. even. Be able to read the chords, look at that chord name, so D, and just know you can play that.
If it says D major, D minor, you still
Yep.
just play D.
Mm-hmm. For G, know where that G note is, know where the A note is, B minor, all that fun stuff. And just to start off with, I would just play that one note by itself, let it hang. That's where I would start, anyway. And from there, I know you've talked about this. You've done some videos on playing root fifth. In other words,
Let's do Bile and Cabbage where you do that.
okay, sure.
And this would be the next level that you would learn. But you were telling me, you know, you might use a little of that, but you tend to do this other way, which is like the previous Bile and Cabbage that we recorded. Right. Let's do that again, but do the roots and fifths.
Okay. 1,
2, ready, go. So this is more of a bluegrass thing a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think if you learn really, if you just memorize the notes on either bass or melody because they're the same notes, an octave apart, maybe memorize the notes on the middle. Watch a few videos, maybe right. Watch a few videos of people playing this dulcimer bass. I think you pick up on it pretty well. I feel like the real challenge is having good timing. Having good tone, knowing the tunes, not getting in the way. I mean, so much of a bass player's role is a support role. Sometimes you're leading the rhythm. You're kind of the rhythm section for a group. Sometimes not so much. But I feel like the first step is not to learn how to play fancy things. It's how to do simple things that are really appropriate and really done well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's kind of the underlying philosophy for me anyway. This is just dulcimer in general. One of the things that I love about the dulcimer is it's accessible for a lot of people to play without a whole lot of investment of time anyway and practice before they can get some kind of enjoyable music out of it. And the ceiling there is pretty high. You can take it as far as you want and challenge yourself. And I think with every new, dulcimer hybrid or variation of the dulcimer, I tend to get most excited by the ones that capture that. They stay accessible without a whole lot of investment. But
I don't want to lose that.
Yeah, but the sky is the limit. You can challenge yourself on this. And so, with this, I feel like, the simple version, the most accessible thing is just those single notes.
Yeah.
And because it's so young, we'll see where the ceiling is, if it exists. But I think the potential for it is pretty high.
I think I also like the idea of using this on recordings for myself. I love having it with me. I could hire a bass player, and but I kind of like the idea of just sticking with this thing. And I have an electric bass, but that's not my native instrument. This relates to my hands in such a good way. I like to, and I don't know if we said this already, but it caters to the folks with the 1.5 mindset. You might not see a 1.5 fret there. There's no inlay where the fret would be, but there is a little groove there for the 1.5. That's cool. So anything else we want to say about this thing? I love that they got together and did it. I feel like they took it even farther. I mean, it was already cool, and now it's cool times 3, I think.
Yeah, it's very much a collaboration. You can see David's older version, what he had started with, and definitely see Terry's influence there as well. It's exciting.
Can you just real quick, this is something I wanted to talk about. What are these strings? I think people that have never touched or seen this, they don't know what we have here.
Yeah, good question. I actually don't know what these strings
I don't either.
But
they're not metal.
Yeah, they're definitely not metal. On the older version that David had been building before, I think they were rubber or something like that. But one of the things that we ran into a lot was if you slid, it was really easy to pull the string, and so it would go flat by the time you got to the note. There's more tension on the string, which I really like a lot. That doesn't mean that it's hard to press. It feels
better.
Yeah. So there's less risk of when you slide, pulling the string.
But if you didn't know better, you'd say these are big, fat rubber strings. Yeah. That's what they feel like, or you think they are. But if you've ever seen a bass ukulele, I think it's a very similar concept. Because normally a bass is supposed to be long. It should be longer but this is short.
Yeah.
And normally you would only be an octave lower than a regular dulcimer. The fact that these go 2 octaves lower, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this up. Try one out, see what you think. We're just going to try a little bit of playing and let you hear what these sound like.